You're probably tired of hearing the word inescapable being used in every title and video for every Minecraft prison, and everyone says something like,
The thing with Minecraft prisons is that they can always be escaped. Until now.
But they never explain why all prisons can be escaped, or how they plan to fix it. So, let's ask that question. Why are prisons escaped? Well, prisons are escaped for many different reasons. Sometimes they're so overly complicated that they end up creating their own security flaws while only focusing on the most redundant and pointless security features. Or maybe they're so overly fragile that any tiny oversight can create an escape and the whole prison feels like it's made out of paper mache. Maybe there's just a simple redstone mistake, or someone finds a new exploit. Or maybe it's just one bad design choice combined with a bit of clever thinking. But all of those are patchable, so why can every prison still be escaped? Well, the answer is a lot simpler than you might think. It's because they all practice the art of ignoring the problem. This could be a prison below height limit ignoring chunk abuse escapes, a small prison ignoring TNT minecarts, even a non-spawn chunk prisons ignoring chunk skipping or light suppression. But the most common form of ignoring the problem TM is ignoring withers and stasis chambers. These two forms of escapes have been almost unpatchable for Minecraft prisons. Potential TTS exploits or bedrock obtaining have been tried to patch withers, but TTS has been bypassed and bedrock obtaining never happened. Stasis chambers can be patched with Paper MC, but newer versions of Paper patch area bans, which are essential for a prison to function. Making a perfect prison that patches these two exploits at once seems impossible. But what if you aren't going for perfection? While the terms perfect and inescapable have a ton of overlap, they aren't the same thing. A perfect prison would ideally be plausible on a survival server, or in the newest version and on a variety of server softwares, in addition to being an inescapable prison. But if inescapable is all you're after, then it's possible. First, let's say we use version Paper 1.17.1, as even though it's outdated, it's the newest version of Paper MC that allows the use of area bans. Second, let's switch the difficulty of the server to peaceful mode, because in this mode, hostile mobs like the Wither can't spawn. However, there's one problem with peaceful mode, which is that blazes don't spawn, meaning that you can't make ender eyes needed to go to the end. Which is important because in order to make area bans, you need shulker shells, which can only be acquired from the end. There is a solution though, which is using a seed that contains the 1 in a trillion 12-eye end portal. And fun fact, shulkers actually spawn in peaceful mode even though they're hostile mobs. With these two changes patching withers and stasis chambers, all we need is something small enough to put in spawn chunks, but that also didn't bother with a wither defense. And fun fact, a prison like this actually exists, called Vault 47. It's part of a larger prison showcase made by Canadian, and with the exception of the slime blocks, it could pass as a peaceful mode of 1.17.1 paper spawn chunks prison. However, there's one issue. Spawn chunk prisons also ignore something. Since spawn chunks are so close to world spawn, someone could theoretically guess the prison's location before it's built, go to the cell's location with escape gear, log out, and log back in when the prison is completed. What spawn chunk prisons do to counter this is to build their prison in a random location so that an escape is very unlikely. Keyword: unlikely. Improbable escapes aren't off the table, as we are using a seed that has a 1 in a trillion chance of even existing. So is there a way to prevent this kind of escape? Well, a possible suggestion would just be to assume that you build the prison before everyone else joins the server. I mean, if we're already relying on a near impossible seed, then why not? But the thing is, there's no way to guarantee that you are the first player to join the server. So while building a prison before anyone else logs in is an option, I'm personally drawing a line at obtaining information you wouldn't be able to get without operator or console access, and plus I think that answer is a bit boring. But when you think about it, there is really no way to prevent this type of escape. I mean, sure, you could build your prison far away, but what's stopping anyone from guessing any cell location at all? There's no possible way to guarantee that. Is this goal even achievable? This is a memory ban, a special type of ban that gets activated whenever the chunk it's in is loaded. When activated, a memory ban will overload the server's memory and crash it completely. This means that a chunk containing a memory ban is impossible to load. I do want to clarify that a method for achieving memory bans is not publicly known, and they aren't very well documented. But assuming that you can get them to work, there is a very special use case for them that allows us to create a perfect prison. You see, when you respawn out of bed in Minecraft, the game has to load the chunk you're respawning in, but if it can't, this will happen. This is a phenomenon known as respawn suppression, and in this state you are physically unable to respawn. Assuming that you accomplish this by putting a memory ban next to your respawn point, no one is able to save you because they can't even load the chunk the memory ban is in. Now, there are 3 main issues with this concept that prevent it from being perfect. First, as I mentioned before, Memory bends aren't very well documented, and are suspected to not work in newer versions of the game. Second, they're practically speaking server crashers, which are disallowed in pretty much every SMP, including even 2B2T, which is known for being an anarchy server. Lastly, there's no way to visit the prisoner, as the prisoner can't even exist at all. But as I mentioned before, this was never meant to be perfect. So hypothetically, this prison is truly, no, really this time, inescapable. Thank you for watching.